Hello everyone, Matt Malatesta. This is our weekly installment of the Whataburger Team of the Week. This week, our Team of the Week is the Iowa Colony Pioneer Boys Track Team. At the regionals, went bananas. They completely dominated the relays, winning that meet, setting some amazing times. They go into state this week. Let's see how this plays out. Can they bring home a state championship for the city of Houston? Why is this team so good?
You know, I think that collectively they have a great group that ran last year in 4A. They move up in 5A. They're just getting bigger and stronger. A few football athletes and Antoine Martin Sr., Jeremy Garner, Jaden Warren. All three of those guys have come over from the gridiron and really exploded on the track. Obviously, the 4x2, number 2 time in the 4x2 across in the country, number 1 time in the country this year. They're looking to do some damage, maybe try to take that number 1 spot overall ever in the country. So I think this is an explosive track group, and I expect them to run very fast this weekend. Watch out for those athletes we mentioned, as well as others that will be competing in some other relays and also the 100.
I tell you what, man, it's exciting to see them because they are such a new school, and they're in the same district with Fort Bend Marshall and Randall. And if you can outdistance and outrace those two teams, you can outrun anybody in the state of Texas. So good luck to the Pioneers at state this week, but they are our Whataburger Team of the Week. What's going on, everybody? Matt Malatesta, Jackson DePasquale. We're talking football. This is Houston in the state of Texas. Okay, the draft, we had 9 players from the greater Houston area get drafted. That was awesome. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit, but so much has been talked about the draft, from Shedeur Sanders to Mr. Irrelevant. Oh my gosh, there's been so much to talk about. But we've had a really cool couple of weeks, and we're going to do it in the next couple of weeks as well, where spring football is going on in greater Houston, and it gives us kind of some time to check out some places and get on campus and get real kind of inside the locker room with these coaches, and where they're more relaxed. They kind of chop it up some more and give us some really good information. And our first stop was the Woodlands. You know, we went to the Woodlands. We saw Jack Dalton, not the new quarterback, but the quarterback that's committed to TCU. Do they have some holes maybe on the offensive line? Yes, but Coach Jim Rapp is an offensive line coach. I think he'll get that group together. Their defense will be stingy. Just general thoughts on the Woodlands. You know, when we went over there, they got getting a little physical in there. It's kind of like an Oklahoma drillish. So I like to see that. You know, the pads were clapping. That was good.
Yeah, I think the Woodlands, we kind of touched on it last week. I think that they're a team that we believe is a probably top 10 team going into next season. You know, you look at what they got coming back. Jack Dalton looked great out at practice. He had Texas A&M actually come in town to come watch him at practice this week. I expect other bigger schools to come in town to go watch him and go watch some of these other guys. You also look at Kason Bartolozzi. He went to UTEP on an unofficial visit recently. I think he's a guy that will start picking up some offers. He's a 3-year varsity player. Parker Stewart, another guy that we didn't get to see out there, but he's running track at the time. He'll be back out in pads, I believe, this week. He just came off an unofficial visit to Arkansas State. So you look at this Woodlands group, they're very talented, maybe not as high profile recruiting-wise as they had been maybe the past 3 years. But you look at this team and what they did last year and how they played that Duncanville team that was loaded, took them down to the wire in the fourth quarter. This is a team that I feel like could definitely make another deep playoff run and potentially make a regional final in Region 2.
Next stop was Randall. I think we're all obsessed with Coach Randall out there. The beard is bearding. He is super cool guy, and he just kind of gets it as it relates to high school football. And they were handing out jerseys. I think it was their first day of practice maybe, but man, that area in Lamar Consolidated is growing. You can just see around that campus. Alex was doing some drone footage, and like they've cleared out acres for this new huge subdivision that's going in there. So that school is going to do nothing but get better. It's interesting to see how that has grown so fast, and they're kind of good at everything. They're getting ready to be great at everything. But, talking with Coach Randall, they won the state championship. And, everybody preaches the fact, oh, we hadn't done anything in 2025. Well, I mean, they're going to be a really highly ranked team. They've got some great pieces back. You got, Landon Williams Callis. He definitely looks the part as a elite running back. I know we'll talk about it. He was the second ranked running back in the country for his class. The only thing that I think that is not missing, but the quarterback position is going to be different.
Yeah, you're not. So last year
you don't have an athletic guy that can just take off and run.
Yeah, Tyler Skrabanek is a little bit different than Keelan Sweeney was when they would use Keelan. Keelan's more of kind of a dual threat guy, athlete, versus Tyler's your prototypical kind of pocket passer. I think Tyler can move a little bit. We just didn't really get to see a lot of it last year, but I know talking to Coach Randall, it seems like he's looking for a big year out of him. Also, when you got a guy like Landon Williams-Callis to hand the ball off to, you really don't need to be too dynamic as long as you're making kind of your right reads and stuff like that. I think the biggest thing for them, offensive line is coming back a ton of pieces. We saw them out; they look big for a 5A Division II offensive line, kind of similar to what South Oak Cliff's offensive line looked like last year. And then you look at the weapons they got with Mason Mixon, the tight end, who's being recruited pretty heavily. You got DeCorian Rubin, another wide receiver that I expect to see his recruitment kind of pick up. You look at this offense, the offense looks electric. My biggest question marks actually for the Randall team this year is going to be you lost Chase Sims, you lost two other defensive ends, you lost some key people in the secondary. What's next? You graduate 38 seniors. So it's time to reload and kind of and go back at it. Offense looks great. We'll kind of see who's going to step up on the defensive side of the ball because I think that's going to be the biggest question mark this year.
I think their defense is going to be okay. I think they have some good returners. They don't have that defensive line presence, but talking to Randall about Dominguez or Pac-Man, let's just call him Pac-Man. He's that dude. He's got to stay healthy, which I think he will, but he is the vibe of that team. He is a massive trash talker. He is just a massive hype guy. And I think he is vitally important to what they're going to do this year. The other piece of what they're battling with is they lost. When you win a state championship, everybody comes and gets your coaches. So Brooks Hack, the offensive coordinator, is at Memorial. The co-offensive coordinator, Stephen Hill, he's over at Fulshear. I think it was like their running back receivers coach. He got out of coaching. So they're not struggling, but they're trying to piece together their coaching staff, which is very important. The Cypress Creek play caller, he moved over to Randall. I think he's going to do a really good job. He's been around a long time. So I think they're going to be really good. But you play in a district with Iowa Colony and Fulshear. No, that's not Fort Bend Marshall. So you've got those two teams that are there, and Iowa Colony is coming.
Yeah, they're coming. I think touching on Pac-Man, I think that's going to be huge for them this year. Coach Randall did mention he was the leader and brought that attitude that you want out there, and I feel like
he wasn't even playing.
Yeah, not even
he
playing.
He couldn't suit up.
But the biggest hype man,
right,
leading the guys out of the tunnel. I think his mentality is what this defense needs to adopt again next year. And this is a kid that's very hungry to play some football again. So watch out. I'm expecting a big-time senior year from him. Also, Ryan Mallory, the state defensive MVP, will be playing right next to him at the linebacker spot. So as much as we talk about they need to replace some D linemen and some DBs at the linebacker spot, they're pretty stacked.
Yeah, they're going to be solid. So then, boom, we hop in the VYPE copter and we copter over to North Shore High School and saw Willie Gaston and the crew over there. So they graduated so many players, special players from that team. But, having gone over there for 20 years, North Shore continues to be North Shore. And what we love and what we saw is their physicality in practice for the third day of practice is like, what the hell is going on over here? They're practicing like it's a game time situation. So it's great to see them They took it on the chin, no doubt about it. They got body slammed by Westlake. Just saying.
Oh,
In the state semis, and now now everybody's thinking to themselves, we kind of included, we're like, man, they could be down. Then you go there and you're like, oh shit, they're not down. Caleb Maryland is going to be a solid quarterback. Their offensive line is young, but it's going to be better. I think it's going to be better than last year. Their skills are a little touch and go. I'm not sure what they have at running back and receiver. And then on the defensive side, they lose a lot of DBs, but I think their defensive line is better than last year.
Yeah, I think going there, if we start with the offense first, obviously Caleb Maryland, it's finally his turn. You know, he's been waiting for a long time for this. He got to play a lot last year, just kind of in spurts, different moments. But it's finally his turn. I feel like I really liked what we saw from him, just spinning the ball, throwing the ball around. They've got two 2027 wide receivers, Aubrey Johnson and they call him, I believe, Dez as the other receiver. Both of these guys look like the next kind of dudes to come get some scholarship opportunities. Both of them are about 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2". Really like what I saw from them as well. Also, you got Dorian Barnes, the younger brother of Chris Barnes, who there were some college coaches that were there at practice while we were there, and they were impressed with the speed of Barnes and kind of how he runs routes. So I think Dorian's about to have a breakout year as well. Running back will be the kind of question mark, like you said. But I think on the offense line, you look at the young pieces of Chase Brown, Abdus Cone. Also, Coach Willie Gasson was also excited about a left tackle that got to see some playing time last year.
Yeah.
They just look bigger. They look, and it's weird to say because they had some big time offensive linemen last year, but they just look bigger. They're younger. So it'll be interesting to see those guys adjust to the speed of the game. Maybe some guys who haven't seen the varsity playing time yet. But offensively, really liked what we saw. I feel like they've kind of reloaded in a sense. And you never know. Like, you might have another kid that steps up as well. Defensively, D-line is massive. They got the Clear Springs transfer. Nunn, who was the defensive MVP in that district last year. Now he moves over. He's going to be playing next to Xavier Waters, who's a big-time playmaker for North Shore last year, another highly recruited guy. And then they've got two defensive ends, and I believe a kid who moved in from Toledo. So it's like they are massive. And
Right.
What Coach Sean Wynn does with that group, they're going to be ready to go. Linebacker, you are replacing, I believe, two positions or two players from last year, and Charles Ross and we'll see kind of what they do there. DB wise, that's also going to be another question mark. They got Terrence Guillory at one side on one corner and Chase Calicut. Both of those guys, obviously Chase, the highly recruited 4-star, and Terrence got to see some playing time last year. But when you have to replace Devin Sanchez, Nigel Pringle, and Morris Taylor, it's a tall task. We'll see kind of how things play out once we get to the fall. But they look like they've reloaded for this 2025 season, maybe more than we thought.
Yeah, I was happy to see that could be vulnerable in some areas, but I think they're going to be fine. And also, they're going to be the North Shore of North Shore, and the young guys that we saw were impressive, and that's what's cool because they're going to continue to get better and better as years go by. Willie Gasson is going to get off of the play calling a little bit more, which is, I think he needs to do that because to be the head coach there's so many things pulling at you. That's tough to continue to be the play caller as well. They bring in offensive coordinator from Deer Park who runs a very interesting scheme, some double tight end stuff. He goes spread some too. I think that's going to help a bunch. And of course, the defense is going to be led by Garrett Cross, the defensive coordinator there, and he's taking a little bit more of a macro view of his defense, where he's walking around and not getting so engulfed in like defensive backs. He's able to walk around and see, macro manage instead of micromanage a position. I think that's going to help too. So good for them. And then Cornell Gray, the Fur head coach, says, I'm leaving Fur as a head coach. I'm going to be an offensive line coach over here at North Shore. So they're putting some really good pieces as it relates to their staff together as well. So North Shore, fun to see, great. Then we go see Memorial High School, which Brooks Hack, the offensive coordinator, as we mentioned earlier, comes over from Randall, becomes the Memorial head coach, replacing Gary Koch, who was there for 20 plus years. And I think there's a new kind of buzz around there. Just, new buzz. He's young, social media, recruiting, music playing. It's just a little different vibe over at Memorial. They're going to have to develop some younger kids, A, and B, hope, fingers crossed, they bring some baseball kids over to the football team. But he's going to be fine over there. He's going to bring that. He played at Katy. He was the quarterback at Katy. Then he went to ULL. Then he went to McNeese. And then he got into coaching. And he's just has that. He has that it as it relates to coaching. He's been around great coaches and great programs. So I think he's going to be fine. What was your take on Memorial?
Yeah, obviously Coach Atkin told us quite a few of his players were still in baseball at the time, but the offensive line looked pretty big. I liked what I saw from that unit, just kind of watching them through drills, kind of working on combination blocks and kind of getting to the next level. Defensively, I really liked a few of their defensive backs. I think that one of them will be a key piece to the defense next year. They look big up on the defensive line as well. They had some good size at linebacker as well. Quarterbacks look good. Coach Hack was really doing a good job kind of working with him. Obviously, the position that he played growing up and played in college. So I feel like the energy Coach Hack brought to practice and how he's a player's coach. Like, he's a guy that you want to play for and want to go out to practice for. So I feel like the energy when we went there was really good, and I really like to see kind of what he's going to do there at Memorial. Obviously in a pretty competitive district, and could potentially make playoffs in his first year.
Yeah, you got Cy-Fair, Cy-Falls, Stratford, Memorial,
Jersey Village, Cy Creek,
and Springwoods.
No, they're down.
Okay, I think Northbrook might be down. One of the two, but yeah, it's gonna be a battle to get in the into the playoffs. I think he's gonna bring stability. He could be the coach there literally for the next 25 years, which no one leaves there because it's such a great location and it's a great school. But this ain't Randall football. Agree with me there. It ain't Randall.
It's different. It's a little different.
A little different? It's a lot different. Okay, so then we're going to go hit Willis this week. That'll be interesting to see. Of course, Jermaine Bishop and Trent Miller. He's always super fun over there. And they have won the district back-to-back.
Yes.
So we'll see how that vibe is. I think they're going to be good.
Yeah, I feel like, they won the district DJ Lagway senior year. You lose kind of that crop of class. Last year, they were very heavy at the wide receiver room. They had a lot of skills athletes. You had Jack Emerson come in and transfer from Oak Ridge. He did a really great job there. At quarterback, Jermaine exploded offensively and defensively last year. Well, now Emerson, Mickens, and some of these other wide receivers, those guys are gone.
Yeah.
So now, who's going to step up? As much as Jermaine can carry a team on his back, I feel like he's going to need a supporting cast around him. I'll be interested to see where the quarterback position goes. I know that there was a player that had transferred there. There might be some kind of UIL rules that won't let him officially transfer or even get to play next year. So we'll keep an eye on that. Jacoby Banks is another guy I think that could play at the quarterback position. I believe he'll be a senior next year, but it'll be really interesting. I feel like Trent does a lot. He did a lot with a little at the beginning at spring, and then built that into kind of a power where they were going 3 rounds deep. Now at Willis, you started out, obviously you had DJ Lagway, but you start with a little and then you build it up to a lot. So what's in store for next year? We'll see. I'm excited to get out there. Dejon Moore is another highly recruited offensive lineman that they've got. They lost a lot of offensive linemen last year, though. So it's going to be interesting to get out there and see, what does this new Willis team look like without any remnants of like the DJ Lagway era, and it's the Jermaine Bishop era. What are we in store for?
Right. I mean, can you quadruple cover him? Maybe.
It's pretty tough. Many teams have tried to do it. DeSoto, I believe, even though DeSoto won that game in the playoffs, in the first half, like Jermaine had over 100 yards and like 2 touchdowns. And DeSoto was like, "Hey, our 4-star, 5-star receiver, Ethan Booby Feaster, you're gonna go cover him because we don't have anyone that can hang with him."
Yeah, he's really cool special player. He's doing a lot of he's branding that Batman, man. He is going Batman all the way. We're gonna try to go check out Iowa Colony, Ridge Point as well. Ridge Point we feel like is going to be really loaded with just a ton of Division I talent over there, and Coach LeFavors does a great job there as well. So, other football news at the Touchdown Club, it was kind of cool to see UT head coach Steve Sarkisian come in town. And if you look at, I think they had 12 players drafted. 4 of those players were from Greater Houston, which was kind of cool to see how much emphasis that they're putting in Houston. He always feels like he gets the rap that he just recruits Dallas. Well, I mean, 4 players went in the NFL draft, and he's doing a pretty good job here right now. The draft, of course, happened. We got to keep talking about these kids, man. There is a little batch of young players that are like 8th grade to 9th grade, 9th grade to sophomores, and we keep bringing them up, but they keep getting offers. Jalen Adai, whose dad Joseph Adai played at Sharpstown, went to LSU, played 10 years in the NFL. His son is coming really quick. Where's he going?
He's already at Shadow Creek.
Everybody's at Shadow Creek. And then you got BJ LaFell. I believe he's going to Shadow Creek. His dad, again, played at Lamar, went to LSU, 10 years in the NFL. Damian Square, one of the VYPE all-time favorites, offensive lineman from Yates, played at Bama and played for the Chargers for like 8 or 9 years. His son is a freshman. He reached out and goes, "Oh, man, you got to check my son out." So he's going to be at Cy-Fair. But, man, there's a lot of really good young talent out there. And does it feel like the recruiting is getting earlier and earlier?
Yeah, I think that, these schools who jump on a kid early, obviously, you're offering off of what you may be projecting them to go for in the future. I don't think I'm not going to speak for a school, but I don't know if it's a committable offer like at this early on. Now they see the potential and they want to get you on campus, want you to come camp, all that good stuff. But they want to see kind of where you're at in 2 years, and if you're still the player they think you are, hey, come commit here. Come on. We were the first one to take a shot on you. And so you look at, I was watching Jalen Adai's tape last night. Explosive wide receiver.
Yeah.
Very explosive. Really liked what I saw on his tape. I think that he's going to be a big weapon for a Shadow Creek offense that's quite literally maybe the most loaded offense in the city of Houston, up there with Ridgepoint. So I think Adai is going to be a kid I'll be watching out for next fall as a sophomore. You talk about BJ LaFell. He also picked up an offer, I believe, 2 weeks ago. He's going to start to gain momentum. He's going to be a guy. Does he get playing time in varsity as a freshman? Does he come in and maybe play JV for that first year, maybe just dress out? We'll kind of see what happens there. We talked about Rush Williams 2 weeks ago. I think that's a kid who definitely is going to come in as a freshman and maybe get some playing time at Jordan. So lots of young talent. I think the biggest thing is just offering these kids, like, you see something special in someone, pull the trigger. Why not?
It's interesting, the play of social media and all of this, because, man, they make it's like you're at these 7-on-7 events. There's so many like videographers out there, and you make one awesome play and then boom, this guy just explodes onto social media. The social media platforms, if you don't think it works in recruiting, you're nuts, because it is what recruiting is all about at this point. So it's interesting to see these. Yeah, it's all based on potential, but with these professional football players' kids, I mean, they kind of have a lineage of football, so they kind of know what to expect. I mean, yeah, so that's kind of cool to see those kids as young guys start to kind of build their brands and stuff. So we'll keep close attachment to that. Okay, and also volleyball news, recruiting wise, one of the top players in the country, in the state of Houston, in the state of Texas, and in Houston, Stratford Sarah Hickman. She has committed to Stanford. led her Stratford team to new heights. They go, I think, to the state finals or state final four. She won't be playing high school volleyball next year. She's going to kind of preserve her body. She's graduating early and going to be on campus at Stanford. Let's call it, I don't know, they're in the quarter system, but early next year. So it's kind of a bummer that we won't have her to look out for this upcoming season on the volleyball court, but kudos to her for committing to Stanford. Huge deal. All right. So football. Keep watching. Like, subscribe. Go watch these camp tours because they got a lot of good nuggets in there and you can see who the next big stars are. All right, on the way out, what else we got? Anything good? Eat at Whataburger?
Eat at Whataburger. Make sure to like and subscribe. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment where we should go next for our VYPE Spring Tour if you have any schools that you want us to come out to. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
All right, Matt Malatesta right here, Jackson DePasquale. We'll see y'all at the games.